Today I'm going to show you guys the easiest way to make beautiful PluggnB beats all by yourself. Valentine's Day is right around the corner, so these are the perfect beats to make to rap about your crush or your ex or whoever the f you want. So yeah, so we're gonna start with the melody and what techniques work best for these types of beats, and then we'll get into the super bouncy drums that we all know and love. If you're tuning in for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, all that good stuff. We're going hard all 2025, so yeah, let's get into the video. Alright, we're pulled up inside FL Studio now. So let's get into the first layer of the melody, which is this piano from Xenology. It's the XV Crystal preset. This is what we got for the chord progression. It might look a little complex if you're not used to like doing melodies like this already, but I'll break it down for you guys. I'll make it super easy. We started with an A major 7 chord, so A is our root note. You go up 3 spaces, place 1, go up 2 spaces, place 1, go up 3 spaces, place 1. And that is our A major 7 chord. And then I got the octave copy of the root note down 1 just to make the melody sound more full, fill up some of those lower frequencies in the melody. This B note up here would actually be the 9th. So if I just pull this over, that would be an A major 9 chord. So I actually just offset this B a little bit. This A right here is just walking down the scale, and that leads us into our next note right here. The next chord we have in the progression is this. Originally when I made this note was not here, so I just did another 7th chord. This one is actually A flat minor 7. And for the root note, we're just walking right down the scale, so it's the next note in the A major scale. And then I just offset the G, kind of like I did the B up here. And then the A I just placed in there because we had these notes. So once again, we're just walking down the scale. Did that sound good? So. And then right here, we're just walking back up the scale. And then I placed this one up here, just kind of like to do the same thing we did over on this part to transition into the next chord, which is just a basic G flat minor 9 chord. So yeah, this next chord right here, this is our diminished chord, I believe. Pretty sure it's diminished. It's either augmented or diminished. I'm pretty sure it's diminished though. If I'm wrong, correct me down in the comments. Once again, when I first made this melody, these notes were not here. So I just started out with 7 chords for the progression. So this is a trick if you have trouble like making diminished chords or whatever, because it can be kind of confusing when you're first getting into it. You can make just a 7 chord, right? The top 2 notes, transpose them down 1 semitone. This is the same chord as this, except for these 2 notes. And then we get this sound. I didn't put a bass note right here, kind of just to switch it up. It just sounds different, you know? You kind of expect there to be a bass note here and there's not, so it kind of just like catches your ear. After that, we're just walking back up to this. It's pretty much the same chord as this one, but instead of the A flat on top, it's got just a normal A. We have the A flat before, so we've kind of been doing this. Sorry, let me put these notes back in real fast. So we've been doing this kind of thing, transition for most of the melody, right? So over here we're switching up, going down to going back up. This is just a little walk down I like to do in beats like this. This note is out of key, so it sounds kind of like that cool sound we get from the diminished chord as well. It just sounds good, and it leads back into the second half of the chord progression. And then I'll copy this over. This second half of the chord progression is pretty much exactly the same as the first half. I just added a couple extra notes. So I added this E flat up here, added a B, D, and then just another D flat. Just a couple extra notes to spice it up, make it a little different in the second half. So yeah, that's the first layer of the melody. Moving right along into the second layer. This is the exact same melody we just made. I just copied it over to Lounge Lizard Session, and I used the dark tremolo preset. Super smooth. I love that preset. It sounds so good. So together, this is what it sounds like. So I brought these into the mixer track, and I panned the crystal keys to the left. I did 40%, and then the tremolo Rhodes, I panned it to the right. Fills up a little bit more space, so everything's not so narrow. Moving right along to the next layer of the melody, I got this bell from Purity, Vibra handbell. Very, very, very common in plug beats. You've probably heard it a million times, but yeah, it sounds good. So, so this is the melody that I put in. Just did like a couple notes, you know, not too much, just to kind of highlight the transition areas. Like this area right here. And then, yeah, just filling in notes that we already have in the chords. Next, we got just the classic high strings that you hear in the PluggnB beats. I just did the A flat. So the A flat, that's actually our top note of the 7th chord that we make for our first chord. So I just did an A flat for the strings, and I just made that up really high. V and a strings 1 in Purity. Melody's starting to come together. And look, it's like we didn't even really do that much yet. Like it's already like sounding really good. So the next thing that we need is some sort of lead. I put in this electric guitar lead from Xenology. Purity and Xenology are going to be like your best friends for these types of beats. Expand is really good if you have it. But yeah, we got this guitar lead from Xenology. It's under the distorted guitar tab. One thing I've learned with making leads for these types of beats, you want to keep it very, very simple. There's no rules. Do whatever you want, but what I've found is like the less notes there is and the more repetitive it is, it like just makes it so much catchier. The way that you can switch it up is just by adding different leads, but like not playing them all at the same time, you know? So you have one lead and it'll come in and then it'll stop and then another lead will pick up, you know? It's like that call and response. We're just gonna start with this electric guitar lead. This is the pattern that I put in. We're starting on the A. If you look, like the A flats here, so that the A would be right here is where we're starting for that guitar lead. So we're kind of just doing like a little top line on the top of our chords, you know? We're using a lot of the notes that we already have. We're not putting more random notes in here. We're just utilizing the notes in our melody to make our counter melodies and stuff, and that's just gonna help you make better melodies. You don't need to go crazy and put a bunch of like, you get what I'm saying. That's what we got for the melody so far. So after this drops off, and then this would be like the first verse. So for the first verse, I bring in a couple different leads. For this first half, we just bring in this first lead, and then the second half up here, we bring in this other lead. So we'll start with this one. It is the PW for President lead. You guys have probably heard it. And this is what I was talking about for the call and response. The other lead that I'm going to show you guys in a minute, it'll kind of play for this first section, and then it stops around here, and then this lead will come in. So this will be the response lead. They do this stutter effect, especially with this sound a lot. I've noticed in a lot of PluggnB beats that I did that for this. It sounds pretty good. This is the simple sine lead. This is going to be our calling lead. So this will call, and then the one that I just showed you guys is the response. Super simple again, like I said. So we do the same thing pretty much the whole time, and then this last little bar, the last 2 bars, I guess, we just did it up an octave. So it just it sounds a little bit different. Switches it up, catches your ear, keeps it interesting, you know? You want to keep the listener interested. That's pretty much the entire melody. And then we just take different parts of the melody out. We put in the lead, we bring out the lead, we put in the other lead, all that. Now we're going to get into the drums. I'm going to show you guys how to make those drums super bouncy every single time. I'll just play the drum pattern for y'all one time. Part of the drums, I started off with this 808. I got this from Cody's Metal Slug beta version, so I used this 808. And you know what? People say that you should use like the long Zay 808 and for plug beats or for PluggnB beats, but honestly, like, do whatever you want, bro. But yeah, so this is the pattern I did. I just followed the root notes of the chords we laid down earlier. Thing I got on the master is a soft clipper and just an EQ to cut out these really low frequencies that we don't need. After that, I added in the ethereal plug clap, also from one of Cody's kits from the Go-To 2023 drum collection. So yeah, for that, I just put the clap down like you normally would, except for the last bar, I did a snap instead. After that, I added the hi-hats. Hi-hats are one of the most important parts of the drums for these types of beats. You want them to be bouncy, but you don't want to overcomplicate it because you're also going to be adding a lot of bounce with the perks that you add later. So yeah, lots of space in between parts of these, and then also utilize triplet bounces. You'll have your simple bouncy hi-hats, and then you'll have this space in between that you'll fill in with your perks, and those will complement your hi-hat pattern. After that, we added this open hat. After that, we added this snare. And if you notice, these ones right here, I'm filling in right after the hi-hat ends, so it really complements the hi-hats just being in that spot. Like, we added this second snare. It was like a plug snare. Here's the triplet bounce I was talking about. That's one spot where we'll utilize it other than the hi-hats. After that, gotta add the chant. What's a PluggnB beat without a chant, right? These ones, I place them on spots where the hi-hat does the triplet bounce. So as soon as this hits, The hi-hats also doing the triplet bounce. Stacking sounds on top of hi-hat rolls will be a way to like just make your drums sound bouncier. You can stack 808s on top of hi-hat rolls. You can stack open hats. You can stack like triangles. It'll complement the hi-hats a little bit. So that's what I did with the Chant right here. One of the last things we got for the drums is the Rimshot. It's really not that hard to make these drums bouncy. Like I said, your guideline is really going to be your 808. I would always start with your clap and your 808 first, and then do your hi-hats. Like I said, give it a lot of space. Make sure you utilize those triplet bounces. Keep space in your hi-hats, and then fill in the space with the perks. Utilize the triplet bounces and the perks also. That's really the sauce to making these types of drums. The last thing I added this crash from a Zaytoven kit. I got this kit off Reddit a long time ago. I went to try and find it so I could link it to you guys, but I couldn't find it. But I did find a different kit. It has pretty much all the sounds that I have in the Zaytoven kit that I use for like a bunch of my beats. So young Kico Chronicles of the Atlantic Trap sound kit. I'll go ahead and link it down in the description so you guys can get it if you want. But yeah, they got all sorts of good sounds. They got all the stuff you're gonna need for PluggnB beats. They got the crash. They got the rims. All sorts of stuff. I'll link that down in the description so you guys can grab that if you want. It's totally free. Shout out young Kico for putting the kit together. So anyways, I added this crash, and then I added plug sound effects from Cody's 2022, I believe, sound kit. And I believe that is also free. I'm pretty sure he's got it on his website. So I'll link that down in the description also. Shout out Cody. He's dope. Always giving away free stuff for the community. Just added a little bit of reverb, a little bit of delay. Yeah, that's pretty much the beat, y'all. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make a video about arrangements and stuff. I'm not gonna do that this time. But if you guys want a video on how I arrange my beats, let me know in the comments. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys learned something from this video. If you didn't, I'm sorry. If you did, I'm stoked. Let me know what you learned or if it's been helping your beats. Hope you guys have a happy Valentine's Day. Hope y'all aren't just lonely and single. But if you are, then that means you have more time to make beats. So whatever, it's a win-win. Love y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see y'all guys in the next one. All right, peace out.